Great day. Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Hawk Hustle Morning Show. I am your host, Jerisha Hawk. I am a business coach, digital consultant, and I help individuals like you take the expertise that you have and package it into a service that you can sell consistently. So as you're popping on, hop in the comments, let me know that you are here. And I want us to get ready because today we're going to talk about some more of those soft skills to develop your ability to be a successful entrepreneur. You know, I was overhearing a conversation earlier today, and you know, the comment came up that entrepreneurship is not just this book that you read. You know, building a business is not just as simple as opening up a book, reading a book, and once you've mastered the conceptual understanding of what it means to build a business, then you'll miraculously have the successful business. You know, being a successful entrepreneur and growing a business that is profitable and consistent is all about your mindset. It is all about your capacity to be able to overcome hurdles, to push through resistance, to be creative in the season of trials and tribulations, to be able to continue to move forward when your current environment or the evidence that you have available doesn't look all that promising. And as I was kind of overhearing that conversation, it really got me thinking about, I really started to think about what is one of the biggest things that students who enroll in services that sell struggle with from a mindset perspective. And the biggest one is that they don't know how to break their own rules. They have this limiting belief, or they have this lack of confidence in their decision-making process where they're unable to give themselves permission. So they consistently seek permission from somebody else because they don't trust themselves. They don't trust the decisions that they potentially will or won't make. Which causes them to delay their progress, which causes them to slow down their momentum, and what ultimately will potentially cause them to become stagnant if they don't have, you know, somebody around them to give them permission. So I want us to talk about that today. And I see you guys popping in and popping on right now. And if you're catching this in the replay, you are in the right place. So happy to have you here. I see Shakitha, Jasmine, Jessica, Rhonda's on, Scott's on, Monique, Sadine, Yolanda, Ashley. I hope you guys are doing well. Happy to have you here. But does anybody else struggle with this? Has anybody else felt this? Like, do you notice this sense of, you know, delay or lack of confidence or just uncertainty when it comes to you or your ability to make decisions? Or even like, oh, I think I should do this. I think I should do this. And you're constantly looking for external validation before you go. Does anybody else feel this way or thought about this or struggled with this? And this is something that is so critical. I need you guys to understand this from a mental, I need you guys to understand this concept from a mindset perspective, because if you can't master this, it'll be difficult for you to progress in your business to the level at which you desire to progress, right? And if you're, you know, and I want us to think about, like, whenever I'm presenting or whenever you notice, and I think, again, I'm going to constantly remind you, the reason why you're here listening to the Hawk Hustle Morning Show, listening to the Jerisha Said podcast, the reason why you may be in my Facebook group, or the reason why you've enrolled in services that sell, kind of a consistent theme or a consistent priority for me is to make sure that I'm not just telling you what to do, but that I'm helping you think differently about your situation and also equipping you with the know-how on how to break down concepts at a deeper level, right? So if you start to notice yourself, like, the number one thing that is important for you to do is become more self-aware. You need to notice what is causing me not to get the results that I want and be self-aware of what's triggering those things. So for some of you guys, seeking external validation and constantly seeking and asking for permission before that you pursue or before you take the next step may be something that you have programmed yourself to believe is a rule that you have to follow. And I want us to kind of deconstruct that belief and see, okay, where does that actually come from? Right? Why do we operate like that? Like, why do so many of the students that I work with and so many of the clients that I've been able to support, why is that a consistent thing that they struggle with? And I want us to continue to peel back the layers. Like, I think probably one of the most immediate reasons or causes of this is because we're employees 9 times out of 10 before we're business owners. And if you look at how society has structured us to be, think about even when you were a child in elementary school, you had to raise your hand to go to the bathroom. Like going to the bathroom is a bodily function that we all have, but yet for years, we had to ask for permission before we could go do what our body naturally has to do. So a lot of this has been ingrained in us from childhood. Like we before we went outside, we had to ask for permission. Before we did anything as a child, a lot of the time, depending on how you were raised or parenting wise, you had to ask for permission. And then you think about how that compounds over the years. So you go through, childhood, adolescence, and you're constantly having to ask for permission to do things. And then when you get into a work environment, now you're an employee of an organization. In order for you to do certain things, you're constantly having to ask for permission. And I think this is really what differentiates the employees from those who excel into the executive suite, is because a lot employees who know how to break the rules, and I don't mean break the rules for just the sake of breaking the rule, but I mean in the sense that they take ownership and take personal responsibility, and they're willing to be bold in their action, why they excel in a corporation. Most executives did not follow the rules. Or they played the game so well, they mastered the rules before they broke them. So it's important that understanding where this is coming from. But a lot of us, if you were an employee, and maybe an individual contributor or maybe a leader at some level, that you are constantly asking for permission on what are our goals? How do I do my job? What does success look like here? You're constantly asking for permission in regards to how I should be behaving in order for me to succeed. But when you step into building your own business and building into entrepreneurship, a lot of the time, the best that you can do in business is follow somebody else's framework. But even when you're following somebody else's framework and following a proven process, there's still things, it's still your business at the end of the day, right? Like when people enroll in services they sell and they say, Jay, what should my niche be? I'm like, I can't answer that question for you. I'm not telling you to replicate the business that I have. I'm not telling you to mimic and mirror every single thing that I have. I'm teaching you a framework so you can learn how to build the foundational steps that you need for your business to be successful, but it's still your business. You still have to be asking yourself, okay, what am I committed to? You can ask for guidance around how to implement a framework or implement a process. But when you're asking about things that are really specific in regards to your business, in the sense of, what am I trying to say? You still have to take ownership, and you still have to learn how to develop the skill set of giving yourself permission. And I was doing some reading, as I always do, to kind of back this up with some additional outside insight. But I was reading this article about what happens when we break our own rules. And I want to just read the quote, kind of the synopsis of what I was reading, but the quote, okay? So they were kind of using this example, if you live in New York, right? If a woman moves from a lower status location to New York City, this is a statistic that there is an 86% chance that she will ditch her flats to put on her heels. And I think that that's interesting, because when we get into a new environment, we will adapt to the norm, and we will ask what is the permit? What do I need to coexist in this environment? And then we will adapt to it. But the pressure to conform is self-imposed. And I think that is really, really important, especially as we're building our business and you are following influencers, following experts, following anybody that you kind of look up to. How are you making sure the pressure for you to conform is self-imposed? Right? I was talking to one of our clients inside of Services That Sell yesterday, and she wants to help. Her niche is helping corporate professionals with their soft skills of selling. And she was like, Jay, I don't think this is sexy enough. Everybody else I see online is teaching you how to quit your job, and I want to teach people how to make more money with the job that they already have. I don't think that this is going to be successful. And that pressure to conform was self-imposed. Why? It's because she's was having an issue or lacking confidence because of the information that she was consuming, thinking that she had to conform to what she saw everybody else around her doing, versus standing firm in her niche and standing firm in her area of expertise. And I think the reason is you have to check yourself, who am I following that is causing me to think that I have to conform And not saying that you need to stop following those people, but just like check yourself. Like check what basis am I like, what is the basis of the perception that I have right now? What is the basis of this feeling that I'm starting to experience? Like, and the pressure to conform is self-imposed. So the rest of the article goes on to say the tension between psychological conformity and consistency, as demonstrated in this research about the heels and women in New York, is a perfect example how rules limit your behaviors. Because a lot of the time people will have the perception that if I go to New York City, I have to be like, we got to be looking like we came straight out of Sex and the City. Like the wardrobe has to be fit, like whatever. I know when I went to Summit 21 this year, shout out to Blavity, I'm like, I have to come correct with my wardrobe. Like that was a self-imposed belief for me to conform to the norm of what that environment will look like for the weekend. Like y'all saw the photos from Summit 21. Everybody had on bright colors, natural hair, like heels, like everybody looked flawless, but nobody told me that's what I had to wear. Nobody told me that, but I was seeking, I was conforming to what the norm was. And the article goes on to say, however, that limitation is created by ourselves. As science shows, we have internalized judgments and preferences of other people and then integrate them into our own memories. When we try to disagree with those social norms, our brain turns on an alarm, right? Following the rules is one thing. Sticking to the norms to be accepted by others is another matter. That's why asking for permission will do you no good. And you think about when you step outside of the norm, outside of the traditional employment route, saying that I want to build my own business. I want to learn how to make money outside of a traditional paycheck. And maybe if you're one of the few who decides I want to actually quit my job, I want to disconnect from the norm of what society tells me and has raised me to do, and I want to build my own business, think about how this plays. Think about how this plays in, and think about how your mentality and your mindset has to evolve in order for you to even be brave enough or to have the courage to conquer that fear of the unknown, right? Think about that. So we have internalized judgments and preferences of other people and then integrate them into our memories, right? When we try to disagree with the social norms, our brains turn on an alarm. Following rules is one thing. Sticking to the norms to be accepted by others is a different matter. This is why asking for permission will do you no good, right? Think about how this plays. I know there's tons of people who are watching this right now or listening to this right now, and they're like, Jerisha, I don't want to put myself out there. I'm scared of how other people might think about me. I don't know if me going live and telling them about my vision and building my business will be accepted by others. So because I'm scared of that, I don't know how I may be accepted, or I don't know how others may perceive me, I'm going to just stick to what the status quo is. I'm going to keep my head down, keep working hard at my job, and I'm going to keep trying like not to be seen. I'm going to keep letting my voice not be heard. Like think about how these things and how these constructs, like how these beliefs play into your ability to like build the business, to make the money, to be successful as you define success, right? So I think it's so important that we continuously remind ourselves when we are having this thought of, should I do this? Why are you even asking yourself, should you do it, right? Like, so should I go live? Should I build my business? Should I start telling people at my job that I have this idea? Should I start raising my hand in meetings? Like, anytime you say, should I, and then you leave it with, what are your thoughts? Like you're asking somebody else, what are your thoughts? But I want you to start really asking yourself, like pausing for a moment and like, what's causing me to ask this question? Am I scared or afraid of what the outcome might be? Am I worried that I may not be accepted by others? Do I not trust myself to make decisions? Do I lack confidence in my ability to like direct my life? Like, am I scared that if I make a decision, I won't be able to follow through with it? Like, start to peel back the layers of what's causing the fear or causing the resistance for you to move. And I want you to start also thinking about, what rules have you made for yourself that you may need to break? Like, what truths have you been telling yourself that you need to change, and that no longer needs to be a story for you? Like, if you've set this rule that I have to ask permission before I do anything that's courageous, or I need to ask for permission before I decide whether or not I'm going to upgrade my Facebook business page, or I have to ask for permission before I don't know, whatever it is for you. like really start to peel back those layers on like, why am I asking for permission? Like, what's the real reason I'm asking for permission? And like, and just, you know, I'm all for following a process. I'm all for understanding the framework. I'm all for mastering the fundamentals before you choose to break the rules. But what mindset and what beliefs have you already are programmed in your mind as a rule that is not serving you, right? Alicia said, once I jump out there, I know I can't go back. Why can't, one thing is, why do you want to go back? If you're not happy with your current situation, and if you're not achieving the level of, like, you're not experiencing life at the magnitude you want to experience it, once you jump out there, why do you want to go back? Like, that is a question that I think comes up often. Like, well, if I put myself out there, I can't undo it. One, is that true? Like, can you not undo it? Right? Like sometimes, well, I don't want to do a live and then mess up. Like if you mess up and it's like absolutely terrible and if you really can't handle it, like you can always delete the video, right? Like a couple people might have saw it, but you can always delete the video off your timeline. But if you are not satisfied with where your current situation is, you jumping, why do you want to go back? Because it's safe? Because it feels more comfortable? Like because you know how to handle that level of chaos? Like why do we want to stay where we've always been? Right. And I do believe in being content and finding solitude in certain things. But like, what makes you think you can't go back? And my thing is, do you actually want to go back? Right. Jamila said, you know, you're doing something right when you don't want to look back. Like, I think that's the same. Right. Like, and even like, it's just, we have to start to give ourselves permission to do the things that we know we're meant to pursue and do. Like, instead of always asking for validation, like validate yourself. Like, instead of always asking for somebody else's thoughts or opinions, like first tell me, what are your thoughts and opinions? What do you believe to be true? What do you think the options are? And I know my students and my clients and services that sell feel resistance because I always ask these questions of them before I give advice or before I give them guidance. Because I want you to like, and this is another valuable reason why I love our community that we've been able to build here is because, and I'm also educating you guys on this because I always tell you, do your due diligence when you're looking for coaches or programs for you to join. Understand what their philosophy is about how they actually coach their students. And my philosophy and what we do here at Team Hawk is it's not my responsibility to give you the answer. It is my responsibility to guide you to making a decision. Okay, you understand the difference in that. As a coach, it is my responsibility to guide you to an answer. It is not my responsibility to make the decision for you, right? It is my responsibility to train you on how to make decisions for yourself. And also me guiding you on kind of the bumper rails and make sure you don't like fall off the freaking edge of the cliff. But it's not my responsibility to make the decision for you. It's for me to guide you through that process. Because I don't want you to be, you should never want to be dependent on what your mentor tells you to do. I don't think that's the way mentorship or coaching needs to look like, because how would you make a decision if they weren't there? Right? Like if you are constrained and you only make decisions after you've received validation from your mentor or from your coach, how the heck are you going to survive if they're not there? Like that I really believe if anybody coaches that way, they're doing you a disservice, because the goal is not for you to be attached to my hip. I'm not in your front pocket. Like that's not how it goes. So it's part of the way that I coach and how I teach my team how to coach our clients and our students is we need to be asking better questions and also teaching them how to make decisions on their own. Like how do we facilitate an environment that coaches them to coach themselves? And I know that my students get resistance when it starts to happen because they haven't really experienced this before. Like most coaches that I've worked with very few coaches that coach me this way. And this is why, like, you know, Caitlin Batcher, she's my coach. And I work with her at a very high capacity because she coaches this way. That's a philosophy that I prefer, even though it's not as comfortable as the student. It's nowhere near as comfortable because it's like, can you just give me the answer? But a lot of the time it's like, no. I mean, in certain situations, yes, you can just give the answer. But in other situations, like the line of questioning and the coaching and like them bringing you up to like helping you build your belief in your decision making is so critically important. And this is why I do that with my students. You know, if they say, well, Jay, I'm thinking about this. What are your thoughts? I'm going to say, what is your actual question? Because I can't, like, that's not a question. Like, I can't give you an answer if you don't, the quality of your question will determine the quality of my response. So you need to ask a better question. Ask a question, a definitive question. And then after you've asked that question, I'm going to say, tell me what your alternatives are. Either this or either that. And then I can give you my thoughts based off of what that line of thinking. And I will definitely course correct, and my team will course correct if you're completely off mark. But like, that is my philosophy on coaching. And so I think it's important for you, as you're doing your due diligence and finding who you want to be your mentor, like, understand what is their philosophy on coaching, right? Do they just tell you the answer, or are they teaching you how to develop your skill set as a CEO? Like, this is critically important for you to be successful. Like, if you don't know how to do these things for yourselves, how the heck are you going to train your team when your team comes on board to do this, right? You're never going to be able to delegate because you're constantly going to be having to tell your team what to do. That's not what you want. You want to create an environment that allows people to make decisions, and you guide them on the decisions that they've made, and you course correct on the decisions that they've made. But you also need to train them on how to make better decisions. And this starts, like, I take full responsibility in making sure that starts with every program that I put out there. If you ever work with me, you're not going to just, you're going to get the result, again, the framework to get the result the program promises, but you're going to get so much more than that. I want you to be a better business owner. I want you to be a better CEO. And in order for that to happen, you can't just keep asking for validation from me. I have to train you on how do you validate yourself? How do you make decisions for yourself? How do you develop the confidence and the courage to give yourself permission, right? So I think that's the thing that's so important. And that is a mindset shift that has to happen from going from being an employee, where everybody tells you, this is how you do your job. This is how we want you to do your job. This is how we want you to dress. This is how we want you to wear your hair. Like, I'm not asking you to in business, there's no conformity. Like, what are you conforming to? You are conforming to the constructs of what you've created. And many people struggle with that, right? It's like, well, I don't know what I want to conform to. I just want the cookie cutter approach. The cookie cutter approach will make you a little bit of money, but like, it'll make you a little bit of money. But if you want to make, like, if you really want to make a bigger impact and really have the opportunity to, like, grow your income, you have to conform to your own constructs and give yourself permission to do that. Like, give yourself grace to mess up, and have the confidence, know that if you fall, you will get back up, right? Like, I think we forget how often we've had to do that in life. Like, I really want you to take self-inventory on, think about every time you've messed up in your life. Personal life, professional life. Think about every time where, like, all the weight was on you. You made it through. Like, you made it through. And, like, if you are somebody of color, honey, it is in our DNA to bounce back. Like, it is in our ancestry line to be able to persevere and move through resistance. Like, it is in our blood. So when you are like, well, I don't know, like, and you over here tripping over some small decision in your business, it's like, dude, I want you to just make an evidence list of every other time in your life where you've had to make a decision and it didn't go your way. What did you do? You figured that shit out. Like, whatever it is about coming up with money to pay the bills, or like keeping the lights on, or getting that job that you didn't have the GPA to get, or like whatever it was where you were not qualified by society's norms, how did God come through? How did God come through? How did you show up? How did you push through that resistance? Like, stop, sis. Bro, I'm talking to you too. Like, we already know how to do this. So you over here tripping over one small decision. Like, I need you to realize, like, who you are. Like, did you forget that you were co-heirs with Christ? Did you forget what our sins, like what's in our blood, like what our ancestors had to go through to get to where we are today? What your parents had to go through to get you to where you are today? What you've personally had to overcome to get you where you are today? And you tripping about whether or not, like, do I focus on Instagram or Facebook? Like, pick one. Like, you over here tripping about, well, do I go live at 3 p.m. or 7 p.m.? Like, bro, like, y'all just make a decision and go. Like, the biggest thing is be visible. You over here worrying about what time do I need to be visible? Like, I just need you to be consistent showing up. We'll worry about the times later. Like, the time really doesn't matter, right? Like, You get what I'm saying? So like we have to remind ourselves of like, did you forget the boss that you already are? Like, did you forget like the juice that you already have produced? Like, did you forget about the magic that like, hello, the blessing that hello? Like, did you forget about that? Like, let me just remind you today. Like, you have the authority to give yourself permission. You have the authority to make decisions that are in best alignment with where it is that you want to go. Like, you have the credibility to be confident in your decision-making process, right? And if you've been faulting yourself for long enough where you've been making decisions that do not serve you, you have the permission and the authority to course correct. Like, you have that capability to say, you know what? Yesterday I was on some trash. Today I'm about to be better. Like, yesterday I was making decisions that like was just dumb. Today I'm going to make better decisions. Like, yesterday I was good. Today I'm going to be better. Tomorrow I'm going to be great. Like, you have the authority to course correct and change your trajectory. And you don't need anybody else's validation to do that, right? I hope this is hitting home for somebody. Like, I hope this is hitting home. Right? Like, so, this is not anything that you may, like, the goal for you should not be, how do I perfect this? The goal for you should be is, how can I progress in this? How do I continue to evolve my mindset? How do I continue to give myself permission? Like, even if that permission is small, like, how often do you ask somebody else, well, what do you guys want to go eat? Well, should we do this or should we do this? You be the one to make the decision. You be the one to say, you know what? I want Olive Garden today for whatever reason. Or I want Qdoba. Or I want to go to El Barzon. Or whatever it is. Like, stop asking for everybody else to give you permission and stop asking for everybody else to validate your desires. Like, it is like, you have permission to be like, bro, you want to go to Pizza Hut? I'm going to Panera Bread. I'll connect with you afterwards. Like, you don't have to keep conforming just because, like, who are you trying to please? Like, whatever it is, like, you have the authority to give yourself permission to make the decisions. And just know that if you do work with me, I will call you to rise to that occasion. So don't get pissed at me when I start asking you questions about what you think and what you believe, because I want you to be better. I want you to be better. And don't worry, we won't let you like fall off the cliff, but I want you to be better. Okay? And anybody you hire, I would recommend that you look for somebody who challenges you in that way, right? Like, it's not comfortable. Like, but my thing is, you don't pay money for somebody to keep you comfortable. You pay money for somebody to challenge you, to help you grow, to help you achieve a result that you have not been able to get on your own. That is why you pay money. It's for the financial return on investment. It's for the mental return on investment. It's for the emotional return on investment. It is for the spiritual return on investment, right? That is what it's supposed to be about. So when you are investing in your business, investing in your personal development, do not invest in somebody that keeps you safe. Do not invest in somebody that just lets you like play in the kiddie pool of the shallow end. We've talked about that. We have evolved. Okay, like, we are taking the floaties off and we are getting in the Olympic sized pool. Like, we're getting in the ocean, people, right? Like, at least that's my belief. You know, maybe you're not, like, I don't know, but that's just what I believe. People always like, well, Jay, how do I make investments? Invest in somebody who challenges you. Invest in somebody who stretches you. Invest in somebody who makes you a little uncomfortable. Like, you don't want it to just be this, you know, invest in somebody who makes you better. Because at the end of the day, if you are operating at your best, you're in the best position to make all the money that you want to make. You're in the best position to make the impact that you want to make. You're in the best position to get closer to what, like, your what your calling is and what your contribution is supposed to be on this earth. Like, that is what it's about. I thought I had saw somebody ask a question. Maybe I didn't. Maybe it's this one from Ultra Marie. What would you advise an entrepreneur early in business to hire a sales team or a business coach? I think that you asked that question right now, and I'll answer that before we hop off. If you're early in business, my advice for you is to learn how to sell yourself. Like, I think before, one thing, this is again another philosophy I have, is I do something in my business for like, I need to know how to do at least have a good understanding of it. So anything that I do in my business, I've at least done in my business. So like, even because I want to learn the base understanding of it. So especially as a small business owner, because there might be a time where you have to lay a contractor off and then like you're the one that has to do the work. Or there may be a time where you hired a consultant to come in, but that consultant like drops off or whatever. Like, you need to know enough to be dangerous. Like, you need to know enough to ask good questions. So I would not outsource your sales or automate your sales until you know how to get sales on your own. So when it comes to sales, you need to learn how to sell, because no matter what, as a business owner, you are selling yourself 24/7. Everything you do, every conversation you have, every interaction you have with your audience is a point of contact. So you need to learn the base understanding and the foundational steps to learn how to sell. Because if you don't know how to communicate the value of what you do, how are you going to train a sales team to sell for you? If you don't know how to articulate what the return on your investment is going to be in a way that your ideal client understands, how are you going to like use Facebook ads to target people when you don't know how to target people on your own? Like, you can't automate or outsource something that if you haven't like if you don't know, like, it's just, how are you going to train somebody else to do it or tell somebody else what you want them to do to be able to sell your thing if you don't know how to sell it yourself? So I think it's really important that as a business owner, all of us have to learn how to sell and understand the basic elements of selling high ticket services before you can successfully outsource anything, is my opinion, because it's really hard. I'm not saying you need to but for when it comes to sales, that's my recommendation. You need to know how to sell. And you need to know how to sell just like with no technology. Like, you need to know how to sell over a sales call, how to construct a sales conversation, how to communicate the value of your offer in a way to even get somebody on a sales call or on an enrollment call. Like, you need to know how to do those things. I would not spend money. Like, I would spend the money learning how to do that thing before I would spend the money outsourcing for somebody else to do it for me. Because if you already, like, I just believe that if you already feel like I can't do this, it's like, well, again, I don't know how you're going to train that team or outsource that when you don't know how to guide them on what it is that you actually want. It's not like, get me more leads, but, well, how do we qualify our leads? What are good leads? Like, where do those good leads, like, if you don't know those things, an outsourced sales team isn't going to be able to help you. And there's still a level of information you need to bring to the table. So that's my recommendation on that. But I really hope that this episode was beneficial for you. And I really do encourage you in this season on challenging your current beliefs on where you feel you have to conform. And really doing some introspective work on understanding, where do I constantly seek validation? Where do I consistently ask for permission? Why? Like, what is the reason behind that? Why am I doing that? What about my upbringing or my past has caused me to behave that way? And is this serving me? Like, is me like, or do I just need to be confident in making a decision for myself? Like, where do I hesitate on making decisions for myself? Like, I want you to do some journaling work, or like take a moment to pause and really think that through. So we can start to uncover and unlock those things and develop our mindset in a way that allows us to move forward towards the things that we ultimately want. Okay. But as always, if this was helpful, and if you thought like, okay, everybody needs to hear this or somebody else needs to hear this, please share this episode with your friend, with your family member, with your significant other, with your business bestie. Share this live stream, share this episode. And as always, like, tag me on your Instagram stories. I would love to hear, what was your top takeaway from today? What did you hear today that really caused revelation for you? Like, what is something that you know that you want to change or shift or just become better at as it relates to this topic? And tag me on Instagram stories or tag me on Facebook. Okay, screenshot away. Yes. And tag me and let me know. Because again, this is not just about inspiring you. We want to get you to become more disciplined. with your behaviors, with your thought process, so you can actually move in your business, take action in your business. So I hope this was helpful. Let me know how it was by either sharing this stream or tagging me on your stories or on Facebook with what your top takeaway was, what's something you're going to change, implement, or do different. And I will talk to you guys soon. Have a great day, y'all.